A lot of people would kind of dub you as the ultimate networker or the connector is what I've heard from people.
So Dad taught us, and Dad's my first mentor, taught us how to really take care of people, communicate, help them.
People really can lose where they came from,
Mhm.
right? Especially once you start becoming successful.
I never thought I'd work and have my own business and partners. I always thought I'd
Mm.
always work for someone else.
Cool. So Frank, welcome to the Success Vault podcast. Jason and I are getting this started. We're really looking to talk about, success, entrepreneurs, money, just life in general. Hoping to, help other people grow their business or just better their life. And so I really appreciate that you taking the time out of your day to come on here with me.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Sean.
So I'm going to do a little recap here. So we got over 37 years in the technology innovation sector, president of AlphaKor.
Yes.
And we're going to talk a lot today. It's been, I guess, 8 years or so since I met you. A lot of people would kind of dub you as the ultimate networker or the connector is what I've heard from people.
Heard the same rumor.
Heard the same rumor, yeah. But you've done a lot of different things. I was doing a little bit more background on you last night, and you've been either a president or a vice president or a co-founder of so many different business networking opportunities or initiatives in Windsor, Essex, with just different entrepreneurs, different, I'm gonna say businesses. Ultimately, that's really what networking is
Sure.
a business.
Yep.
And you've won a couple different awards here: Entrepreneur of the Year, Tech Mentor of the Year, CEO of the Year, which is fantastic with Windsor Business. And so we're going to dive into a lot of different things today. Obviously, I sent you some questions there last night. Didn't give
Great.
you much time to prepare, but
No worries.
I want to start because you and I never really talked too much about your story. So I want to learn a little bit about, where you grew up, were you born here, not born here, and sort of how you got into that sort of tech sector as you got older.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, I can start with my name. It's Frank Abbruzzese.
Absolutely.
So thank you again, Sean. I really appreciate it. I grew up in a small town just outside of Windsor called Leamington. Used to be known as a tomato capital of the world. I don't know if it still is today or not, because a lot has happened in that small town. It's grown tremendously, as we all know. So back in when I was 5 years old, my dad gave me and my 4-year-old brother a shovel. He said, "Boys, we got to dig 900 holes for the peach trees," and we haven't stopped working since, Sean.
Wow.
That was
5 years old.
5 years old. I know.
Digging
I hear
peach
stories.
tree holes. Wow.
People start at 11 and 12, but
Yeah.
growing up on the farm taught me a lot. There was absolutely no time to get in trouble, even if you wanted to.
Yeah.
It was sunrise to sunset as much as we could. Then I got my first part-time job outside the farm at 11 years old. We had a local club, an Italian club called the Roma Club in Leamington.
Yep.
So in the old days, it was a dirt parking lot. And again, me and my brother at 11 and 10, we had little red rags in our hands, lining up all the Italians coming in for those weddings. When the lot got pretty messy, so they wanted it nice and lined up. They loved the way that we did it. And so they said, "Hey, you got to go in the coat room." So did that and then got moved to the bar at 18 and did that till I graduated from university. Had a part-time summer job at a warehouse plus the farm. So that's what I grew up. And I thank my workaholic based on that upbringing, which I greatly appreciate.
Yeah. And so, okay, so your dad sort of got you involved pretty early, right? And especially at the Roma Club being 11 years old and then the bar at 18. Do you think that some of those jobs is what made you want to be such a good connector of people? You think that's where it came from?
It absolutely, because we had to interact with people. Yeah. So if we go back to the farm at 5 and up, we were selling roadside produce, fruits and vegetables to people coming from the beach or going to the beach.
Okay.
We had a lot of Canadians, a lot of Americans that were out at Point PLA communities.
Right,
so you had to learn how to take care of them. You had to learn how to do the math for them. They were excited to see some food there because they were fairly hungry. They want to do their barbecues. So dad taught us, and dad's my first mentor, taught us how to really take care of people, communicate, help them. And so I
Mhm.
think that to me just became embedded on what we call customer service.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I would say that is definitely one of the biggest things that I've noticed with you since we met when I moved here, call it, end of 2017, 2018, is the the communication, the call it customer service, and even if you're not a customer of AlphaKor, I've seen just how you treat people. It's like par none. Like I don't think there's a single person that can treat someone better than you.
Oh,
It's actually amazing.
well, I'm honored that you would say that.
Yeah.
Do my best,
Y-
not
y-
perfect.
Hey, I mean, hey, we all have our flaws, right?
Of course.
Okay, so Bar Roma Club 18. What did you graduate? Where? What did you graduate
Sure.
with? What was sort of the next steps in life?
So I always had the dream of getting off the farm and getting out of the house as soon as I could. So the only school that I got accepted into was here in Windsor, which I was very happy to be close to home. But I convinced mom and dad to live in residence. So actually, those 4 years I had the best of both worlds. I lived in residence during the week, and then I went
Mhm.
home on the weekend and got to do my bartender thing, and then got to go back in Sunday night or Monday morning, go to school, and that was a good balance. I learned a lot. My first year, I was right on campus with 36 other guys on our floor, and I learned a whole lot that we weren't exposed to growing up in our little community. So
Mhm.
I was grateful for that experience. And again, dealing with different folks, different people from different places, not just Canada, but different countries, different personalities,
Right.
different cultures. And it was actually a fun experience those 4
Mhm.
years.
Yeah, I mean, I can relate to that a lot. I mean, going to school in Kentucky.
Okay.
I was on a full ride scholarship for swimming. Just a different place, right?
Hmm.
Just very different values, different lifestyle.
Yes.
Living away from your parents, probably for the first time.
Yes.
For me, it was quite far. I couldn't go home. I only went home for Christmas, basically, and then
Yep.
for the summertime. But I can definitely relate to that. The experiences you have in those early years of, call it, late high school, early college, living away from home, um, meeting different people, experiencing different things, doing different things that you normally wouldn't do on a regular basis,
Yep.
really kind of, sort of propels you in one direction or another.
Absolutely.
And so what did you graduate with?
So I have my Bachelor of Commerce degree.
Okay.
It's an honors program. It was 4 years at the University of Windsor. So
Right.
that major was in accounting. I fell in love with grade 11 bookkeeping, and I
Okay.
wanted to be an accountant so bad.
Okay.
And somewhere down the road, it
Hmm.
became,
I did not know that.
hmm, I'm not sure if I really want to do this
Right.
when we got really deep into it. So I think what I loved were the numbers and the bookkeeping side. It's when we got into more of the theory aspect of it that it got pretty deep. So I switched
Mhm.
focuses to management and marketing, which I definitely love. So that was my third and fourth year. I kind of did a little pivot.
Right. Okay. And so how long has AlphaKor been around for now?
We celebrated 30 years in February. So we're in our
Okay.
31st year of operation.
Yeah.
And the team's grown well over 60 people. I
Awesome.
have four brilliant partners. So there's five of us actually at the helm of the company, which is a little bit unique and rare that you'd see in most organizations that have been around
Right.
for a long time.
But I'm sure that I'm assuming that the five of you all bring something a little different to the business.
Absolutely. The newer partner's been on board a couple of years. He's got about a dozen years in the company, worked his way up the ranks. The original four of us were virtually from the beginning. I was the last of the original four to come in when we were focused on moving the business from strictly retail store to the small business community. And
Okay.
then we focused on the business market and kind of let go of the retail sector a long time ago.
Okay. And so how far after college or university did you guys end up starting AlphaKor?
So AlphaKor would have started in February of 95. So I graduated in 88. So I worked for two other companies prior to AlphaKor.
Okay. And did those companies, working for those other companies, was it something that you thought, you know, don't want to work for somebody else, want to do my own thing? Did you just see a sector in the industry that you thought maybe you could do things better? Sort of how did the four of you guys start AlphaKor and get it growing?
Sure. Well, we'll back up a little bit. I started retail sales, selling computers to first-time home buyers. Mom and dad's coming in Windsor.
Hmm.
Got myself to run the superstore that Epson Canada had. That's who I worked for up in Mississauga. So at 23, I packed up my bags, left home again, and went off and ran this mega store that was the number one store to 35 in Canada.
Wow.
That is a whole chapter within itself, those 9 months.
Yeah.
Came back to Windsor, swallowed my pride, moved back in with mom and dad, and worked for a company for 2 weeks shy of 5 years.
Okay.
And I decided to leave the industry. I just wasn't happy with the industry as a whole and the way things were progressing with just my own outlook on the IT sector at that moment.
Okay.
6 weeks later, AlphaKor called me to the table and said, "Hey, we would love for you to come in and do sales and bring the business market to this retail store." And I was up for the challenge. So the original three started the company.
Okay.
About a year or so before I joined.
Okay.
And so they are very technical, and they have a great service ethic in terms of going out and servicing everyone.
Yeah.
And my job was real simple. I just had to go out and I guess I've
Me-
been blessed with the gift of gab. So I just
Sure.
got to go out, tell my story, and they made everything work magically.
Right.
They took care of everything, and we had rapid growth when word of mouth came by. And about 8 months later, we sat down. They decided to offer me partnership again. So my business degree said, "Hey, let's incorporate. I'll name you president." And you know what? That was the end of 96, and we never looked back.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's been an exciting journey and a rapid growth ride over the years. Yeah. Very exciting.
And so did you know one of the three partners coming out of university? Like how did they just call you because they knew you were back in the area, or how did that work?
I didn't know the three of them at all.
Okay.
I worked with two of them at the prior company,
Got it.
which ironically we ended up buying in 2014. We bought the old company that three of us worked at.
Wow.
That was kind of a
That's a
fun
neat
thing to
all the
do.
way around.
Yeah, it was kind of exciting to work out the deal with the old boss, and
Yeah.
everybody walked away as a win-win, and everybody was happy. So myself, Ali, and Sean, all three of us had worked there. So
Yeah.
it was actually a lot of fun to negotiate that deal and bring it under our umbrella.
Yeah. That's awesome. And so, okay, so let's back up slightly again. The 9 months that you were away,
Mm-hmm.
you made a comment that you had to swallow your pride and come back. So I mean, I don't need, 10 minutes on the story, but what do you think, what do you think were the successes of that 9 months? What do you think were the failures of that 9 months? And why do you phrase it the way of swallowing your pride and coming back home?
Well, that comment's referred to the quitting side of it, because
Okay.
I've only quit two things in my entire life. That was one of them. So it's always left kind of a mark in
Yeah.
my memory, a little footnote saying, right decision, 100%.
Yeah.
It was made a little too late. I learned a lot. I learned a lot that I really shouldn't have learned, but I'll sum it up by saying huge corporate politics was at play.
Okay.
Families at the helm and families that were hiring their own family members
Mm.
was another challenge.
Mhm.
And one incident did happen that I discovered, and I was able to work it out with head office, and they were in shock what I uncovered. And I made a decision that I just do not want to work in this environment.
Mhm.
Nothing to do with the company specifically or the people. It was just geographically and corporate business. It just was not my cup of tea.
Right. And so do you think that played a role in forming AlphaKor the way it is? Because every time I come and see you at your office, man, everyone's happy. They're enjoying what they're doing. You got the ping pong table in the back, it seems like just such a fun family type environment.
It could be the Java stations. It could be the Windsor pizza. I don't know, but we tried our best to create a really good culture, open door policy. My door in my office is open all the time, unless I'm having a closed door meeting. I'm on vacation. My office door is still open when I'm gone. So that was one thing that under the leadership with the partners, we made sure that we were open door policy. We were all approachable. We weren't going to let any titles go to our head. We've been a very flat organization traditionally. You had 4 owners working hands-on in the field with the entire staff.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get more flat than that.
Right.
And so what I found that helped. Another thing that I brought up when I became a partner, I looked at the 3 and said, we need to always remember where we came from. Don't ever forget that. I think that stems back to my roots of upbringing, where I've seen so many people over the years, grown with them over the years in different circles. And I thought, we definitely need to be humble, grateful, and remember where we came from. And that's played a role.
Right. Okay. That's awesome. I think a lot of call it entrepreneurs, self-employed people, people who are running bigger businesses could learn from that, because I think that and I've seen it lots of times where people really can lose where they came from, right? Especially once you start becoming successful, maybe start making significant money. It can be very easy in today's society to just lose yourself when it comes to social media or whatever somebody else thinks you should be doing.
Right.
So that's fantastic. I want to come back to the quitting comment you made.
Yeah.
Because I tell a story about, I think I was like 7 or 8, playing Monopoly with my sisters, and I was losing, and my dad came home. But just as my dad came home, I was like, I quit. I can't. Like, I'm losing this. I don't like losing, so I quit. And my dad had to pull me aside and be like, listen, like, just because you're losing doesn't mean you can quit. You still need to see the game through. You don't just give up just because something's hard.
Good advice.
Is that something that your parents instilled in you? Is that why you felt that kind of, the sting, that you still kind of feel that sting of quitting, one of the 2 things you ever only quit?
Yeah, that goes back to company loyal. My dad worked for Heinz for 36 years. Okay. And the company was everything. Actually, he wanted me, instead of taking over the farm or working in the factories like my brothers, he wanted really me to work in the office at Heinz. That was his dream for me and his aspiration. Didn't understand IT, didn't understand the business world. So, but yeah, that was always instilled, never to quit. And, they always supported me, not really understanding what I did. I didn't have calluses on my hands anymore, so they couldn't fathom what I was doing out there. Yeah. My mom was quoted as saying, "You mean people give you money when you go talk to them at their board table?" I said, "It doesn't quite work like that."
Right.
But similar. But yeah, that company lawyer was a big deal.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that, because so my dad actually got introduced to the financial services world, I want to say when I was about 12 or 13. So probably a decade before I did.
Yeah.
And he went in the field with the guy that was training him, and it seemed very like high pressure sales, trying to convince people to buy something that they really didn't need.
Right.
And that's the one thing that actually like really turned my dad off of getting into sales in the financial world. My dad's done everything from, Leon's to Staples to Ford, like lots of sales, different avenues. And actually, when I got started in financial services, he actually thought that it was like the worst thing that I could do.
Wow.
Because of his experience from before. Do you think that kind of came through from your father, not wanting you to go down the same path? Is that kind of why he wanted to push you into sort of that office role, the management role?
Well, there was never really deep conversations. There was never real pushing. And, all these years later, recent history within the last 5 so years, my mom made a very interesting comment. She said, I never once sat down and talked to my parents. And she said, I always did whatever I wanted to do. And my response was, did you ever worry about me? And she says, no, actually never had to worry about you. But the support was kind of there. The understanding wasn't there, but it was more of a nudge as opposed to a push.
Right.
But they always talked highly of the company, although they really didn't know much about it.
Sure. Interesting. That's very interesting, because I think I'm very similar. I don't think my parents never really had to push me to compete, or push me to swim, or push me to, choose like a full ride over staying back in Canada and maybe not going to school.
Sure.
I don't know if my parents ever had to worry about the decisions that I was making, but interesting that there's a similarity there.
I'm sure they did. It just, we didn't talk as openly as like our family does today with my two daughters. We're
Right.
fairly open in our conversation, but there really wasn't that. It was when I was a Rotarian, they coined a term that I learned called knife and forker, right? You'd get
Okay.
up, you'd work on the farm, you'd go to sleep. You'd get up, you go to school, you'd go to sleep. You get up, you go to work, you go to sleep. So that was what's called a knife and forker. I didn't do any sports at all.
Okay.
There was no sports growing up. We watched a little bit of soccer and hockey on TV, but we just weren't a sports family at all.
Mhm.
And looking back, that's one thing that would have been really cool. I love hockey as an adult. I didn't start playing till 30 something. So I'll never be a great player, but I go out there and I can, stand on two skates and skate a
Sure.
little bit and create a little bit of havoc out there.
Sure.
But our daughters, we made sure we encouraged them, and they've done many different sports. One
Yeah.
majored in soccer, one majored in baseball. I actually learned a lot about baseball, since she started playing since she was 5, because I knew nothing about baseball. I'm embarrassed to say, but it just wasn't in our growth path.
Right. Interesting. Okay, so interesting question then.
Yeah.
Because I played a lot of sports.
Hmm.
I love every sport. Growing up, if the hockey game wasn't on, it was football. If it
Sure.
wasn't that, it was curling. Like something was always on. And that instilled a very high competitive nature in me.
Yep.
And I think that is something that pushed me to get into the business world. Is I don't think as the athlete, it was very hard to see myself working for somebody else, because as an athlete that was, hyper competitive,
Hmm.
I don't need somebody to tell me to wake up in the morning to go to the pool and go
Sure.
swim. And,
Yep.
At the height of my career, I was 12 sessions in the water, plus weights, plus cardio outside. Like it was
Wow.
insane. 7
Yep.
days a week, all
You
the
have
time.
to. Yeah,
You
at
have
that
to,
level,
right?
for sure.
But nobody ever needed me to tell me to do it.
Yep.
And so I think that made it very difficult to see myself working for somebody else. And so as somebody that didn't participate in high level sports as a kid, do you find yourself as I guess two questions. Do you find yourself as a very competitive person? And do you think that not being involved in sports helped or hurt the business side? Because I think for me, it's really helped me, because I'm constantly, what's the next goal? What's the next thing? What are we chasing? What can we do to make things better, et cetera? And that's that competitive nature in me.
Hmm.
But as somebody who didn't yet is extremely successful in business, where do you think that do you think it helped? Do you think it hurt? Do you think it doesn't matter?
Well, first, your comment about not wanting to work for someone else, that was the opposite. I never thought I'd work and have my own business and partners. I always thought I'd always work for someone else. I was completely the opposite. And now I'm just thinking in my head from your comment, is that tied to your sports experience versus my non-sport experience?
Right.
But in terms of hurting or helping, I think go back to the work ethics that I refer to as workaholic. That's really my tongue in cheek, but it's work ethic. We woke up and we had things to do, and we knew we had to do it. There was a rule. You had to get ready, get breakfast, get the tractor, get the baskets loaded, get out to the peach orchard before the sun was up. That was the rule. So, for years I was in my office. If I was there at 6:30 in the morning, I was late. And I was there because I wanted to prepare my day. I had my time. And then, the phones would light up before email days, and then of course emails, and then the staff and the interaction with. So that's what I found was my motivator. It was me. I wanted to jump on the day. Today I'm up 4:15. It's this internal clock that just
Wow.
won't stop ticking. I go to the gym at 5:30, and then I start my day at 6:20, and it's just still that routine, and I don't want to get a jump on the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been very task oriented. That's been my success.
Right.
And
So habits learned early on
very early on,
that
and
you've just kept with.
correct.
Wow.
Like even Saturday and Sunday, I have a certain routine that I just have to do in the morning.
Hmm.
And if I miss them, the day's a little off, but you'll recover. But so that was my motivation. It was me kind of kicking myself to do it, and I think
Mhm.
that's what I learned in my upbringing
Mm-hmm.
by having something to do all the time. There was never there was never a day where you woke up and there was nothing to do.
Right.
And then as soon as you got it all done, we could steal away on our bicycles and go do something we wanted to do.
Right. Interesting. Okay. So I'm a very habits person as well.
Yep.
Swimming, obviously, if you're not 5 minutes early, you're late. Like just
Yes,
lots of
yes,
different
yes.
things. Has there ever been a period in your life where you really weren't on the daily habits?
Not that I can remember.
Okay.
I do want to share when I worked for the Epson store in Mississauga. We were right on the edge, Dundas and Browns line, near the 427. So Dad and I would get up every other Monday when I got in the routine, those 9 months. He'd have breakfast with me. He'd ride his motorcycle up the hill to Hines. I would hop in my car and I would be at my office in Mississauga 8:15 a.m. My staff started at 10 a.m. Nobody was on time. Nobody was on time.
Wow.
That's the discipline I had. None of them believed or they didn't even know where Windsor was at that time.
Right.
They're thinking, we're just outside of Kitchener-Waterloo, which again, that was the perception there.
Yeah.
But I challenged all of them to make it in on time. None of them could make it before 10 a.m. Not one person, technical or sales rep. And here I am at 23 years old, and it just blew my mind away.
Right.
But again, they didn't have the same type of upbringing.
Right.
And, to talk about my upbringing out in a small little town, at that time, we were happy in our own little world. We knew a bit about the world, but it's just interesting. At 23, I found out the cottages and the Muskokas were not the same ones that were in Point Pelee Drive and Robson Road.
Right.
So again, I learned a lot in that community.
Yeah.
But that's what I was dealing with, is people that came from that type of demographics and that type of lifestyle. So
Right.
it was a lot different. And here they were older than me, and I was their manager. So that was another challenge I had to deal with at that.
Right.
So I learned, that's why I said when I learned a lot, I learned a lot.
Right.
I learned how to handle and manage and take care of them and make them happy in that environment.
I was just about to say, okay, so learning from that experience, what do you think would be 2 or 3 things that the listeners could take from your experience in that sense, in how to, I don't know, coach, mentor, get people to do something that you're expecting them to do?
Yeah, that's a challenge for a lot of people today, right? So we always have to go back to communication is the key. So again, I didn't know their world. So for me, and even today when I'm mentoring a lot of different people as well, at all different aspects here locally. I want to know who they are, where they come from, what their aspirations are. It's really tough to put yourself into their shoes and really understand them. What are their goals? What are they aspiring to do? And again, if I go back to that team in that store, we were doing $250,000 box sales, one computer at a time per month. Think about that. Every computer sold in that place was taken off the shelf because it was pre-built.
Yeah.
And I'm the one who put it on the dolly and loaded it in the car for every single client. Nobody there would do it. And they said it's not their job. And that was one aspect, though, that I brought in terms of customer service. Yeah. And the funny thing where that worked is, and get a little off topic, is conversations in the parking lot, loading the computer in the car. I'm in a city that I don't know anybody, a couple people maybe. Right. I'm getting referrals in the parking lot in retail in 1990 at 23, where I don't know anybody in this city. So I've always said, think about the other person, talk to them. It's about them. Make it about them. That's what I learned with that experience. How can I help you? Because it's not about me, right? I look in the mirror if I want help. That's where I've got the most help.
Right. Interesting you say that, because I have a saying that, if you do the right thing for people, the money will just come.
Sure.
Right.
That's a good saying.
And whether it's money or relationships or whatever, the commodity of the thing will come. It's reciprocal.
Yeah,
right.
You're right.
If you do the right thing for people. And okay, so the reason I asked you that question about your habits, I don't know if I've shared this recently, but maybe you knew. So my wife and I had a child. We're 2 months old.
Yes, congrats.
2 months on Sunday, so he's growing.
Awesome.
It's super exciting. But man, it is like the day-to-day things, getting up in the morning, going to the gym, like it is so much more difficult to like start my day.
Hmm.
Did you find that having two girls growing up? Do you find it
So,
hard to, keep that same routine of being in the office early and doing the things that you knew you either needed to do or wanted to do or
so I had three babies at the same time because the company was a baby that was exploding at that moment, which is still growing, of course, tremendously. But Haley was
I
born
feel
in
you
90.
there.
Haley was born in 97, so that was second year of operations, and we were just growing tremendously, which has been a pattern that's been repeated. And the second one, Sid, came along in 2000. So I've got two young girls at home. I got the growing business that is demanding all my time on the corporate, the sales, the relationship, the networking. And I taken on a few things when you talked about committees on the introduction. Somewhere in there in 99, I ended up becoming chair of the Challenge Cup when I moved from St. Clair to Chicharo. And that was a burden on my time, the business, the girls. And, I always laugh after that cup in September of that year. My company gave me a welcome back party because I was at the chamber office every single day for that because there was a lot to do. But to answer your question is you just figure out how to balance it. So
Right.
I left early in the morning before the family was awake. So I guess I been blessed. Carmela, gave me that. She understood.
Right.
And, I went to all the kids' events that I could, all the school events, the church mass, the talent show. I was one of the chaperones on a few of the school trips. I coached the one in soccer.
Okay.
Sid was a great soccer player. Went to every sporting event that Haley had for baseball and out of town if it wasn't overlapping with a soccer tournament, right? So I balanced it.
Right.
But then I worked a lot of late nights, right? I maybe went home in the afternoon, maybe went home for dinner and went back to the office before this whole remote thing
Mm-hmm.
was in place. So I made different little juggles back
Right.
and forth to make it happen.
Right.
But it's a struggle and it's a challenge, and but I can say being a parent adds a whole new set of skill sets that I don't think anyone can ever train you on.
Right.
And I believe it helps you become a better person, a better manager, a better owner, and just a better relationship builder.
Right.
If you can have the patience, because I think that's the key.
Yeah, I can see that because the biggest thing that I have found that I am struggling with is, like you said, my business is my baby as well.
Yes.
Jason and I are 3.5 years into it,
Yep.
going super, super well. And we're growing exponentially, which I've always wanted. I'm in the position now where, 15 years ago, I was like, this is where I want to get to. And obviously the goals and the dreams have grown since, but I love what I do. I love talking to people. I love meeting people. I love solving problems.
Hmm.
My business is my baby, and now I have another baby at
Yep.
home. And trying to balance the two things is super difficult because I could be at the office 16 hours a day
course.
all the time because it doesn't feel like work. And
Yep.
I'm very fortunate. I know so many people, and my wife is one of them that just they don't really love their job. It
Sure.
became a job. It's what they
Yep.
got into, and they couldn't find a way out. And I'm very fortunate that that's not me. But I want to be home, but I also want to be at the office.
I know. It's to
I want
balance
to be
that.
there when he wakes up, but I also
Yep.
want to get my day started. And
course.
it's so difficult to balance the two things,
It is very difficult.
right? Any tips?
Well, you got to
Any
find some
pointers?
time to sleep, and you have to find
It's-
time
yeah.
to date your partner still
Yeah.
because that's important, right? Because you've got two babies taking up all your time, and then what about your time as a couple?
Right.
And then if you have another child in the
Yeah.
future, then there's another balance there. So
Right.
the tips are you just have to look at and make hard decisions.
Mhm.
I know for me, again, we had to dial in the voicemail to get voicemail. So it was a whole different. Today, I think it'd be a lot easier. I'd be able to be at my home office, get some stuff done before, my daughter would wake up. Then I'd be able to take care of her,
Mhm.
let Carmela sleep in if she wasn't deciding to go back to work, which she stayed home 11 years to take care of the children. So then that really helped because that was the decision that, I made sure she made on her own and what she wanted to do.
Right.
And I asked her to support me on what I need to do here to make this work. And I think that's why it worked well
Mhm.
because I had, and then, a go-giver and achiever, and she went out and started her own business from the home while the kids were young. So
Nice.
again, there's an aspiration there, and balance that and juggle that. So
Yeah.
the only tip is I get up every day, and I know you can use digital, but I'm going to talk about a pen and a pad. I have a blank piece of paper that I write down in priority order what I'm doing today. So
Mm.
today I had 9 o'clock. I had to drop my vehicle off, drop my daughter off at her office so I could have her car. 10 o'clock is here. Although it's in my Outlook, it's all digital. You get all your reminders.
Yeah.
And, I still have to prioritize my day on what I'm doing. And if somebody asks me what I'm doing today because I've written it down, I've got it all memorized.
Right.
I don't need to look. It's just hard to explain. I guess I've been wired that way. When we went to school, it was pen and paper. So I think that's just how my brain remembers things. And I remember things better that way.
Right. And so I was always taught to pre-plan tomorrow the night before. So before I go to bed, I always
Yes.
look and I'm like, okay, like what time am I getting up at? What am I got to
Yes.
do? What's important? If something can be moved, what thing is getting moved? Because my day can kind of go off the rocker a little bit.
Sure.
Client issue comes up,
Always.
money issue comes up for somebody, someone buys a house, needs something fast, whatever, right? But it's interesting. So you plan the morning of.
The morning of same type of challenges when things happen. This morning I had a phone call at 7:15 that the internet was down at their company, and to find out what's going on and get the after hours team engaged. So, I'm taking care of that. And, you have to deal with that because they're calling my cell phone, which is great, right? I'm the lifeline and I want to be there to help if and when someone needs help, regardless of who it is.
Right.
I know I did a lot of training, especially when we were with Epson Canada. They did a lot of training for us, but one was that the night before. The problem I had the night before might be the worry wart in me, and I'm going to worry about everything that I write down. So I always say I'm going to start fresh in the morning. I know I've got a lot.
Right.
There's things to clean up. There's things to do. There's things you don't like to do. There's eat that rough frog first, right? So you go and do the most difficult thing, the thing you don't want to do first, right? There's a lot of great tips out there. I think you just have to adapt it to your own personality.
Right. Interesting. Okay. And so let's talk a little bit about the different organizations. I guess I'll say there's so many different things. Whether it's the BIA, whether it's Windsor Execs, whether it's your own events.
Sure.
What made you want to start those? What made you want to get involved in it? Was it just wanting to meet other people for the business, or was it just wanting to give back? Because you do a lot of, I'll call it giving, right? What was the thought process back when those were all getting started?
That is a great question that I'm trying to reflect back, because it all started in 97. Somebody suggested I should join the Rotary, it'd be good for business. So I did that. Somebody said, hey, I should be on this Challenge Cup committee. They need someone to take care of prize and awards. So I jumped on that. Somebody came to me and said, hey, there's an opening for an IT company at Windsor Execs. So all of a sudden, all this stuff happened late 96, 97. All of a sudden, I'm involved in 3 organizations, 2 at committee level and 1 as a member. And I think I fell in love with the idea that I'm helping people. And, it's helping the company, it's helping me. But the real key was I'm actually helping people and making a difference. So we're helping charitable organizations, we're helping people connect. And then if you move forward to another gentleman wanted to do networking, so we ended up forming a networking group for about a dozen years, and we met every month. And then COVID hit and didn't want to go virtual, and then I tried a virtual, and he didn't want to do it, so we tabled it.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people connected with me when you talk about the connector, and they said there's nowhere to network in 2020. So in 21, I thought, me, I just like having fun. So I'm like, I'm going to call it Wednesday Wisdom. We're going to go Wednesday at 11 till noon. We're going to bring hump day, the middle of the week. It was a little tongue in cheek. And then all of a sudden we did it every week. We have 45 people started hopping on regularly, that all of them got to share their story in a virtual world and network. So that was kind of cool. I really liked that.
Neat.
You've
kept that going.
That is still going in person once a month. And, we had 90 out one month. We had 75 recently. So it's been exciting. A lot of people over the years with the previous one, they want to do a lot of changes, right? They have ideas and want to generate revenue. And I looked at it and go, this is a different group. This is open to everyone. Everyone's welcome. Sometimes our competitors, our indirect competitors show up, which is great.
Yeah.
We've been replicated a few times. Some people have copied the ideas, which is just awesome. I mean, that's the biggest compliment you can get.
Yeah.
But the group was really introducing people, an informal environment, non-threatening. And there's a lot of new people that I've never networked before and they feel comfortable. And then I suggest, they look at there's a lot of great networking groups out there to take a look at some other ones.
Right.
The nonprofit was very exciting because, growing up, we never really gave back in that way. We never really did donations. We really didn't know a whole lot about it. And then in the business world, I found that, there's a community out there that we should be supporting. And so that piqued my interest to get involved in some committees, sit on some boards. WeTech was one that 6 of us formed from scratch. And that was actually exciting to be part of something for the IT community because we actually didn't have anything that brought our community together. And that organization has done extremely well.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting that 2 of the original board members thought they were the only software developers in the community. So again, we're going just before social media was telling everyone's story out there. Technology, traditionally, we've all kind of lived in our own little world, right? We didn't go to a lot of networking events. We didn't interact a lot. We were just focused on customer service, right?
Yeah.
And so this facility, basically a facilitator, brought the community together. And now there's so many cool events and it's opened up a lot of different doors.
That's awesome. That's exciting. I know we don't have a ton of time left. Going a couple minutes.
Sure.
Couple, I don't know how, hopefully they're not super long answers. What do you think 2 big lessons you learned in business or life that you think would be good advice for listeners not to do? Something where I find that I've reading books and you're like, okay, I can learn from someone and the mistake that they might have made and make sure that I don't make that same mistake myself. What do you think are 2 things that you've learned along the way that if people could sidestep that landmine, you would tell them to do so?
So one thing I learned out of the gate is we had a script for cold calling. And my manager, the first manager I had, was not happy with me because I didn't follow the script. So that was a lesson I learned from day one. If you really feel strongly about something as part of your core values, stick to it. Because I found the script made me sound like a robot and reading it. Like even here, if I was just reading a script, it's not natural, right?
Yeah.
I find that I learned that I want to bring passion to everything I do. Whether I like the situation, whether I know about the situation, I'm going to be open, honest, and be vulnerable and give you everything that I have. I'll even send you to the competition if and when that's the right decision. I'll even bring the competitors in or other third party in to take care of pieces that you need that I necessarily won't be able to deliver in terms of really taking care of. So today I get calls of, where can I buy furniture? Where can I buy a sign for my company, right? So you're a go-to person and it's a pretty cool place to be.
Right. Okay, cool. Great answer. Next thing would be, what do you think might be 1 or 2 decisions, more so in a positive way, that you think really set you on the trajectory to get yourself and AlphaKor where it is today? If you had to think about a few key decisions, 1 or 2 key decisions that you had to make.
One thing out of the gate was we truly offer 24/7 before the market really knew what that was. The second thing is follow up. There is no one that has followed up the way we have followed up. And I have set that bar extremely high, especially for our corporate team. I followed up on every single service call. I followed up on every single sale. I was adamant that I would follow up with everything. I followed up on every person that sent us a referral.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about handwriting notes and mailing them out, not just the phone calls,
right?
And not just the emails today. So those were some things that I had instilled.
It's interesting you say that. I would say that was probably one of my biggest ones. Mm-hmm. You might not get the sale today, but if you just follow up, you never know what's going to happen in the future. If someone says call them in 2 weeks, you call them in 2 weeks. If someone says, call me back in 6 months, you make sure that it's 6 months, because it's part of doing what you say you're going to do.
Yes.
And that's what people want.
I have a tip for everyone listening, and it sounds real easy. It's very difficult. Build the relationship first.
Right.
I meet you at an event. I get an email. Great meeting you. Here's my widget. You need to buy it. This is the best thing for you. You're going to run a better business. I'm thinking, one, you don't know me. You don't know anything about me. You don't know anything about my company.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm getting all kinds of instant. So that's my caution. Build a relationship. Find out if I need your help.
Right.
The company's been running 30 years. I've been around 37. Chances are I might need what you have to offer. I might be able to help you open a door with someone else. I might be able to help you position your product and service.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a big one. I think many people, rush in to what can I do? How do I help? How can I make money from this person? Just connecting, building that relationship, getting on the same page, and actually seeing if there's something of value that you can provide. I would 100% agree with that tip. Last question. We're ending the podcast. The same question all the time, which is, what does success mean to Frank Abbruzzese?
I've never been asked that question. That's me buying time. Success is seeing people that are happy and satisfied, regardless of what it is. I personally take pride in helping a lot of people outside of the business side of it, and I feel very successful. I'm very happy and proud of Wednesday Wisdom and the amount of people that have connected, created opportunities. People even got career opportunities. So I take pride in that. And, I was told I created a community. So to me, that's success. Never in my life I thought I'd go out and create a community. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. To add on that, that's where I met you. Somebody told me to go to one of them. I would say probably mid 2018, 2019, something like that. And I think that might've been where one of my first kind of clients early on after I moved here came from. Was building the relationship with somebody at one of your events. So I can 100% agree that it's amazing. Some of the things that you've done,
Thank you.
the network you've built, the community that you have. I know you're the go-to person. If I ever say, who do you think can connect me to this person?
Sure.
Your name always comes up.
Thanks.
Which is fantastic. So, Frank, thanks for the 45 minutes, the 50 minutes we've had here. Hopefully we can get you on another time.
That'd be great.
I'd love to continue on, learn a little bit more about yourself and what AlphaKor is doing. So I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming.
Great. My pleasure. Thanks, Sean.